Good evening. Today's Monday evening, May 6th, 2024. You're listening to Weather with Enthusiasm. We have a phenomenal heat dome, a high-pressure ridge, which is headed towards the Texas area. The center is going to be over Mexico, but this heat is something phenomenal, even according to our most recent standards, even according to last summer. Wednesday afternoon and Thursday afternoon, the National Weather Service has released a wet bulb temperature forecast. Wet bulb temperatures, Fahrenheit, going into the low 90s for southern portions of Texas. This includes McAllen, Texas, Corpus Christi, Texas. Wet bulb temperature, 93 degrees in McAllen, Texas, Wednesday afternoon. Human existence comes to an end when the wet bulb temperature hits 95 degrees. That's an end. People are no longer able to survive a wet bulb temperature of 95 degrees for any longer than 6 hours. People cannot survive such heat. Air temperatures approaching 110 in areas right around there. That's the dry bulb temperature. But in Corpus Christi, the air temperatures remaining in the 90s. We actually have a part of this heat dome which is going to be even hotter than that. And we also have many cities which are going to be hotter than these places, despite the fact that the wet bulb temperatures are highest in those locations. So I'm going to read to you, this is a screenshot that I took. I'm just going to, of some of the most intense heat indices that I found. I was not able to find the combination of triple digit heat and 80 degree dew points. I could not find that combination, but it was very close. Dew points in the upper 70s will combine with triple digit heat. So we have a city, Kennedy. I believe this is in Mexico. It looks like from the map it's in Mexico. Temperatures forecasted to be 103 degrees Thursday afternoon, May 9th. 103 Fahrenheit. Celsius, that's about 39 degrees Celsius. Dew point of 74 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, fine. That's nothing actually. I mean, that's super intense. You know, that type of a heat index is about 113 degrees. So that is something very intense, but in recent, if we want to focus on the most intense of the most intense, we're moving on to the next city. La Esperanza Nueva. I'm going to spell that Laesperanza-Nueva. This is certainly in Mexico. 2 p.m. European computer model shows 2 p.m. Thursday afternoon temperature 104 degrees Fahrenheit, that's 40 degrees Celsius. The dew point of 78 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, I looked up to get an exact amount of what that would produce in the heat index. That's a heat index of 124 degrees. The heat calculator tells us that at this level, heat cramps and heat exhaustion are likely, and heat stroke is probable with continued activity. So, very dangerous stuff we have going on. That's again for La Esperanza Nueva. The wet bulb temperatures, you know, I would say the conditions are hotter there. Conditions are hotter there than they are in Texas. That much I can tell you. And that's also indicated by the lower pressure over there. But we have higher humidity there. We have temperatures hotter. But a wet bulb temperature of 93, you really get hotter than that. 93 degree wet bulb temperature is 34 degrees Celsius, wet bulb temperature. That's what's expected to happen in McAllen, Texas, despite the fact that the heat indices are not as high over there. I don't know exactly how that works, but apparently there's more to it than just heat index. So it's a little bit more complex, but athletes definitely would want to keep the wet bulb temperature in mind. That's the coldest your body can cool itself to in these conditions. So what this is saying is that evaporation cools things off. So when you're wet, things get cooler. But the wet bulb temperature is after the temperature has evaporated, after the water has evaporated on the thermometer. This is how cold it will be. So a lot of times you could have 100-degree heat. The wet bulb temperature could remain in the 70s. But what we have going on over here is a super dangerous situation. We have the wet bulb temperature coming into the 80s. The European computer model will show 80s, but if you look at the National Weather Service, they show both Wednesday and Thursday afternoons, 1 p.m., the wet bulb temperature at 90 degrees or higher for some cities in Texas. And 93 degrees is the peak, and that's Wednesday, 1 p.m. That's in extreme southern Texas. Brownsville, Texas, it comes in at 86 degrees wet bulb temperature as a max, which is very high. But 90 and 93, it's a whole new world. It's very close to destruction. At 93 degrees, it's very, very high. Super dangerous stuff. We go on to this other city in Mexico, El Cerrito, Mexico. 3 p.m. Wednesday afternoon, 101. Is the temperature, 79 is the dew point. When we come into the according to the European model, the maximum wet bulb temperature will be taking place in Poza Rica de Hidalgo. That's in Mexico. Now, the European computer model shows the maximum wet bulb temperature in Texas being 84, and the wet bulb temperature being 85 in this area in Mexico. So I would assume the European computer model, the forecasters, I guess, say that the European computer model is a little bit less than what's actually going to be happening. So, but it's very similar to the peak. And again, this is due to this super high humidity that's taking place combined with triple-digit heat. We have another place, excuse me, La Feria, 108, with a dew point of 65 degrees. We do have places going into the 110s. The highest I saw was 115 degrees, and I don't think I took a snapshot of it. So this is extraordinary heat that's going to be coming to an end. Thursday looks like to be the last day for much, not just Texas, even portions of, you go to North Carolina, they have some pretty high wet bulb temperatures there. Thursday also looks to be the end of the heat for that area too. Cooler conditions move in after that. So this is our first heat dome of the season for this area by the Gulf Coast. It's the first time, the last I saw a number on the ridge, the height of the ridge, the last number I saw on the forecast was 591 decimeters. This will be producing Fahrenheit temperatures in the mid-110s, which is equivalent, that is 46 to 47 degrees Celsius. That's without the humidity. Places with humidity going up to about 108, that's about 42 degrees Celsius. That's with humidity. Those places will have dew points in the 60s. And then the super high humidity with dew points in the upper 70s, the maximum temperature of 104 in that area, 40 degrees Celsius, with a dew point of 25 to 26 degrees Celsius. The highest dew point I saw was a little bit higher than that, about 27 degrees Celsius or 26 degrees Celsius. That was pretty much the highest dew point that would be occurring in parts of a large, more than just an isolated spot, but most areas getting that type of humidity will have temperatures remaining in the 90s. Corpus Christi, you might even have to go 10 miles west of Corpus Christi before you get the super intense heat, because when the wind comes in off of the Gulf of Mexico, so the super high humidity, but it also brings in slightly cooler air, but very close to there, you're going to also have very high temperatures as well. So the dry line stays just to the west of the Brownsville, Texas area. That's the story on the heat and just the heat. We have very significant severe weather outbreak going on in this country as we speak. I mean, currently we do have a tornado watch in effect for portions of Oklahoma. We have a tornado warning in effect for Osage County until 9:45 p.m. We also have flood watches in effect. There's really a lot going on right now across Oklahoma, Kansas as well, and we also have stuff going on in Iowa, Nebraska. We have wind advisories in effect across South Dakota, Minneapolis, and we have the fire weather watches in effect for places further to the west. I wish everyone a wonderful night and stay safe with this heat. The North Carolina, the National Weather Service provides guidance on how to translate those wet bulb temperatures, how dangerous they are, and how one should proceed in athletic events when dealing with such wet bulb temperatures. It actually says once they hit 90, just the event should be canceled. But even before 90, it's probably, there's people who are going to want to cancel it, but it's extremely high stuff. The National Weather Service seems to be getting their information from the college in Raleigh, North Carolina. So, yeah, might be worth looking into. Have a wonderful night. Thank you. You've been listening to Weather with Enthusiasm. This podcast can be found on almost every platform where podcasts are available. You're listening to Weather with Enthusiasm. We have a powerhouse typhoon which has developed off in the Pacific Ocean. Extreme heat continues over the desert southwest. A big shockaroo to many of you. This is especially true in regards to what's going to be going on in Alaska. We have parts of the world that are so hot right now. Temperatures are expected to go into the low 130s. What also makes the situation absolutely spectacular over there is the enormous differences between night and day. We have a remarkable weather pattern change that's going to be taking place over the next few days. We're going from one extreme to the next extreme. Small soft hail is falling with the storm. There's the possibility that snow squalls may develop. 27.1 barometric pressure. Feet of snow are falling in Japan when there's intense weather. That's a time of celebration. Just Google Weather with Enthusiasm and they're all going to come up.